Good evening, councillors. We've still got another 4 minutes to go before take-off. Thank you. Is it Parks and Gardens? Parks and Recreation, thank you. Councillors, we are now officially on air and we are 4 minutes early, but if councillors can take their seats. I think we're missing Councillor Seif at the moment. Where is she? If we can get Councillor Seif and Councillor Moore, and we will get going. I now declare the meeting restarted at 18 minutes past 6 p.m. I will not restart from the beginning of the agenda because it was just formalities, and we will now go to the questions and statements time, and I will start where I started with Ms T. Maxted. Has she arrived in the chamber at all this evening? If she hasn't arrived, I will read her questions. This is about PQO 10725, and her question is about native trees for tree canopy. How many native trees is the City of Wanneroo planting around the city in the 2025 calendar year? For example, in parks, reserves and on verges, etc., excluding any seedlings given away to the public and those being planted by local friends groups and public volunteers. That is, in order to reduce the urban heat impact and provide shading to protect residents and ratepayers. The response by the Director of Assets states, in 2025, the City of Wanneroo plans to plant 3,745 native Australian trees and 240 non-native trees across parks, streetscapes and residential verges, focusing on suburbs with less than 5% urban canopy coverage. In alignment with the City's Urban Forest Strategy 2022, additionally 200 native trees and 1,000 native shrubs have been planted alongside Neerabup Road in Clarkson through the Urban Greening Grant program to enhance shade, reduce urban heat and support local biodiversity. Ms Maxted's second question is, what is the annual number of new native trees actually needed ongoing to be planted in the City of Wanneroo every year? That is, in order to align with and to reach the WA target of doubling the existing tree canopy across all of Perth's suburban areas to be able to reduce the urban heat impact and provide shading to protect us from worsening heat waves. The response of from the Director of Assets states, the City of Wanneroo, with the endorsement of the the Western Australian Local Government Association, is committed to achieving a target of 30% urban tree canopy coverage by 2040 for the Perth and Peel regions. The City's Urban Forest Strategy 2022 supports this objective by aiming to raise the City's current canopy coverage from 9% to between 15 to 20% by 2040. To support this target, the City has established an annual planting goal of 3,500 new trees. This ongoing initiative aims to increase canopy coverage, provide essential shade and mitigate urban heat impacts, helping protect the community from increasingly severe heat waves. The annual planting target reflects what is realistically achievable within the current resource levels and available land, and while still driving meaningful progress toward the city's strategic objective. Through continuous monitoring and adaptive management, the city will ensure it remains on track to meet this important environmental and community health goal. I have a question from Mr. Bawaga, and if he would like to come up and ask the question, and then the Director of Community and Place can respond to his question. Thank you. Just press the button in front of you and then the light will go red and then your mic will be on. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I kind of want to take it out right now, but it's already been submitted. So my question was, why was it taking long and why was the pushback for installing LifeVac?
Ms Davis.
Thank you through the Mayor, and thank you very much for your question. The installation of the devices at the facilities was raised in November 24 through a Councilor motion notice. We've since investigated the use of these devices in community facilities, and there is an item being considered tonight at tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions? Thank you. I've now got a question here from Ms Dot Newton, and she's not in the chamber this evening, so I will read the question and answer on her behalf. The first question is about CP 020625, the Local Heritage Survey 2025. Prior to adopting the minutes from the 24th of the 6th, 25, I believe item CP 020625 should be amended in relation to place 67 listed as Wanneroo Community Nursing Home. The photo and address 55 Belgrade Road is in fact Belgrade Park Retirement Village, comprising of independent living units. In the grounds is Jacaranda Hostel. The nursing home is located at 9 Amos Road and not Belgrade. Along with the Barradale Lodge, they are all administered by Elder Bloom. So I have a response from the Director of Community and Place which states, administration acknowledges error of referencing that the Wanneroo Community Nursing Home is located within the Belgrade Village as opposed to 9 Amos Road, noting the place listing, address and photograph are all incorrect. The incorrect place record can be corrected by way of administrative processes that are currently underway. Entering the corrected place record information on the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage inherent database. All local heritage survey places will then be recorded in the city's GIS mapping layer, and the photo and address of place number 67, Wanneroo Community Nursing Home on the Local Heritage Survey 2025 will be rectified to reflect 9 Amos Road. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Ms Newton, and when we go to move those minutes for that ordinary council meeting, that amendment will be incorporated in that this evening. We now go to PS 010725, response to the petition regarding a development application for a change of use to a small bar at Unit 2, 1 Ferry Wren Street, Banksia Grove. And I don't think there's anyone in the chamber that wishes to speak to this. So the question is, why was this application dealt with under delegated authority in May 2025 when in December 2024 objections had been received? Surely this should have triggered it to be brought to council, perhaps giving parents using the adjoining childcare centre the option to comment. Why was the petition scanned in and attached to a public online document? Who signed off on this decision? I called one of the people listed on the petition and alerted them. They were unaware at the time it was an agenda item. The response from the Director of Planning and Sustainability states, thank you for your inquiry regarding the development application for Unit 2, 1 Ferry Wren Street, Banksia Grove. The application was advertised from 2nd to the 16th of December 2024. Notification was sent to 482 nearby landowners and occupiers, including the nearby childcare premises, and all relevant documentation was made available on the city's website during the advertising period. The proposal was assessed in accordance with the city's planning framework. While more than 10 objections were received, the Director of Planning and Sustainability holds delegated authority under Part 2.10.3 of the Delegated Authority Register to determine such applications. As the proposal met all applicable planning requirements, it was approved under delegation with conditions. The report subject to tonight's meeting was signed off by the Acting Director of Planning and Sustainability. All submitters, including the 16 petitioners, were advised of the outcome of the application via letter on the 9th of May 2025. A separate letter was sent to all petitioners on the 25th of June 2025 regarding the upcoming agenda briefing. Due to an administrative oversight, the petition was inadvertently included in the public version of the Council agenda for the meeting held on the 8th of July 2025. This document was publicly accessible for approximately 36 hours before being removed from the online Council briefing agenda on the morning of the 4th of July and correctly marked as confidential. Council members were notified to prevent further sharing of the document. The matter was addressed at the Council agenda briefing on the 8th of July, including responses to public questions. Following the Council agenda briefing, a formal breach assessment was completed by administration, confirming the nature and scope of the disclosure. All petitioners have been notified, with a letter from the CEO sent on the 15th of July 2025, outlining the steps taken to address the breach. Additionally, a notification outlining the breach and the City's response has been submitted to the WA Information Commissioner in accordance with privacy obligations. To ensure such incidents do not recur, a review of internal procedures is currently underway to improve the handling and flagging of confidential documents. And we now have Ms. R. Casey next, if she would like to come and ask her question or make her statement this evening. Thank you, Ms. Casey.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Rosalind Casey and I live in Mayoral. And I am asking questions tonight and making a statement on behalf of Biggles Loves Addison Community Group regarding the petition for upgrades to Addison Park, Mayoral. I wish to clarify the additional background information included in administration's report regarding Council's original approval to extend Addison Park Oval. While Council approval was made in good faith, the decision was based on inaccurate and misleading information in the 2016 Active Reserves Master Plan. An email dated 15 July 2022 from the Acting Manager Capital Works and Infrastructure stated the ARMP documentation did not accurately portray the full extent of proposed works, particularly the oval extension and impact on existing vegetation. The email also confirmed $875,000 has been held in reserve for Addison Park upgrades, with the project deferred twice, first to 2021-22 and then again to 2030-31. Administration stated repeatedly it has no plans to extend the playing field, but it turns up back on the agenda, still based on the same inaccurate site analysis and wildly misleading master plan. No review of the ARMP has been undertaken to amend or update the information derived from inadequate and biased consultation process during 2014-15. Just before the site was due to be cleared, it was discovered that no community consultation had been undertaken, a serious breach of city policy. An internal review later confirmed the breach was due to administrative error. In May this year, the Manager of Facility Services advised the Park, the park meets definitions of both neighbourhood recreation and neighbourhood sports. But as it has a junior playing field, it was their assessment it is more aligned with neighbourhood sports. However, the policy defines sports open space as land primarily for organised high-intensity sporting use. Addison Park has never hosted high-intensity sport. Facility bookings will bear this out. The junior AFL goals installed this year have not seen a single game. Moreover, Mayoral already has a senior-sized multi-purpose sports field at its other neighbourhood park, Dalvik Park, used by clubs from outside the catchment area. In the interest of balance, it doesn't need a second. So, senior-sized sports facilities at Addison Park are 1, not needed, 2, not wanted, and 3, would be a waste of ratepayer money. In being treated as a future sports park for over 10 years, Addison Park has been left behind. While other parks have received recreational upgrades, Addison Park has been overlooked, despite the $875,000 sitting in reserve. Our question, therefore, is, 1, will Council please remove the sword of Damocles hanging over Addison Park by acknowledging its primary function is recreation and not sport, and classify it as neighbourhood recreation open space in compliance with state guidelines? 2, will Council request a new master plan be developed for community-focused upgrades using the monies held in reserve? After all this time, Mayoral deserves a park that meets community needs and a park its residents can be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Casey. Ms Davis, would you like to respond to that question? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms Casey, for your 2 questions. The report listed tonight provides information that is a summary of the previous proposed works at Addison Park that have arrived from the 2016 Active Reserves Master Plan. However, the main intent of report CP03 is response to the petition PT02, request for upgrades at Addison Park in Mayoral. We do acknowledge your recollection of the circumstances of the previous works as noted in the summary. Regarding the classification of Addison Park, it is our assessment that it does meet a neighbourhood sports park classification, noting that it has sporting infrastructure, for example, the centre cricket wicket, cricket nets, T-ball back net, long jump pit, AFL goals, fitness equipment and a sports amenities building. There are also floodlights at the venue, however these no longer meet the Australian standards. Addison Park is not a home venue for any club, but it is booked by junior sports for cricket, T-ball and soccer. The playing field is also a shared use oval for the adjacent Mayoral Primary School, and the combined area of Addison Park, being 6.6 hectares, has a current playing field and associated sports infrastructure that takes it up to 1.9 hectares. That means 4.7 hectares is available for passive recreation space, as you mentioned. In response to your question, it's acknowledged that public open spaces are used for recreation purposes, not just for sports. Further to this, if a new master plan was to be developed for Addison Park, administration would undertake the detailed needs analysis and community consultation prior to finalising a design for Council's consideration to ensure that it meets the needs of community.
Thank you, Ms Davis. I have another question here from Mr S. Gould about CPO 10725, the airway clearance devices at city managed facilities. His statement is, what credible evidence has the Wanneroo Council used to arrive at the conclusion that LifeVac should not be implemented? And the response from the Director of Community in Place states that the information provided in the report reflects the information provided by registered first aid training providers, local government insurance scheme and the wider local government industry. Thank you. And we have Mr and Mrs Matthews. registered, your public attenders. Did you want to speak, Mr. and Mrs. Matthews? I think they're just attending. Sorry, I've received the attendance as well as the request to speak. So would anyone like to make a statement from the chamber today? Thank you. If you could just come and state your name and the suburb you live in. Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Jacqueline Hope. Mayor, councillors, Brian and members of the Wanneroo community. My name is Simon Gould, and as a veteran of 30 years in the health system, including 15 years as an advanced care paramedic, 10 years as the operation manager for the largest single roster GP service in the country, some 25 years as a clinical educator for the RAC GP, training doctors, nurses and other staff in resuscitation, as well as 30 years studying and publishing on the subject of choking. I submit this statement to you today as a clinician, owner of LifeVac Australia, researcher, TGA sponsor of LifeVac, professional trainer, parent and grandparent. I have watched and supported the dedication of Brian after his son's preventable death from choking, when first aid just failed in the critical short time frame, 4 minutes, in severe upper airway obstruction. I have witnessed the remarkable foresight and careful consideration by many councils that have responded to his call for the widespread installation of LifeVac. I've also witnessed some of the unevidenced and speculative opinions spread by organisations and individuals against the rollout of LifeVac devices, and the surprisingly poor rigour of councils in accepting these opinions without any evidence. Instead of reviewing the facts, evidence and medical device regulations in Australia, looking at the legislation or even asking the regulator or even LifeVac, councils have instead listened to fallacious appeals to authority, including the illogical and confused ramblings of the sons of Dr. Heimlich, both non-clinical individuals with a history of pushing unsubstantiated conspiracy theories, together with the opinions from unqualified organisations with no regulatory or legislative council control or jurisdiction, including St John's and Royal Surf Life Saving in Western Australia. Both these organisations are now facing possible legal action for defamation and/or injurious falsehood over statements that have been made concerning the LifeVac, where they demonstrate no regard for truth or facility. LifeVac has been determined by TGA to be low risk, non-invasive, safe, and can be used without prescription, special training, and without restriction in Australia worldwide. This device has saved over 4,300 lives, including over 75 already in Australia, including over 2,400 children, all after first aid failed, by bystanders, parents, carers, first responders, nurses, paramedics and doctors, and has never failed, causing the imaginary delay or caused any significant harm. These are provable facts and are verifiable with any device regulator in the world, including the TGA in Australia. No evidence has ever been produced or from the TGA or any regulator in the world that disputes these facts. Accordingly, there is no complex maintenance of the LifeVac required as touted in the motion, past an inspection of the masks that are a first aid item. Additionally, any emergency usage of the device results in free replacement of the device and any masks used. There is also no restriction in Australia on the age of the patient by the regulator, as suggested in the report. This was likely lifted from the US site. There is also no legal or legislative restriction on the use of TGA-listed medical devices in Australia. Advice provided by the Melville Council by the LGIS was likely based on the false assumption that first aid praxis is regulated by law and therefore offers protection from liability in Australia. These assumptions are both false, as in any advice of this nature from first aid trainers cited in the report, who lack the legislative authority and expertise to make this claim. The lack of legislative prohibition has also been ratified by Safe Work. It is telling that no legislation, evidence, or case law has ever been provided to support these spurious assertions. I know as a former paramedic that no ambulance can arrive in the small window available in severe upper airway obstruction, 4 minutes till permanent brain damage and 10 minutes till death, particularly in WA, where your own ambulance service stretched and response times has blown out due to COVID, flu and ambulance ramping. Your state service just last week has cut 90 jobs, which will further affect the ability of the service to respond efficiently. Reducing staff to make a business more effective is never the outcome, just a cost saving at the expense of service, delivery and quality to solve a short-term budget issue. The ethos of LifeVac has always been about saving lives. I don't have a fancy salary, drive a fancy car, or own a fancy boat, or live in a fancy house, or go on fancy trips. But I measure my success on the pictures we have on our wall of the lives that have helped saved after poorly evidenced first aid measures, regardless of the proficiency and training of the user, frequently fail, as it did in the case of Zaza. Our profits go back into saving lives and ensuring Brian is the last of a long line of grieving parents who could not, despite their best efforts, save their children's lives when the reliance on first aid failed. It is not up to the individuals to carry out their own LifeVac, just as it's not incumbent to carry out your own personal defibrillator. The initial report and
Excuse me, Ms Gould, I'm sorry. It's been 6 minutes. Are councillors happy to hear the rest of her statement? Okay, Ms Gould, go ahead and complete your statement. Could you press the button for your microphone, Ms Gould? Thank you.
Thank you. The initial report and recommendation to Council not to implement the LifeVac, contrary to the decisions of other councils, is frankly based on unevidenced nonsense, a naive understanding of regulatory structures, legislation, law, scientific evidence, and a failure to seek out qualified and reputable sources. Wanneroo Council has rightly recognised the risk. First aid in choking does fail. It cannot and should never be excused as poor application or bad luck. Wanneroo Council has a duty of care to protect the population using its facilities based on variable facts and evidence. This decision be a no-brainer. Simon Gould, Diploma of Paramedical Services, Associate Degree in Vocational Education, Nationally Accredited Advanced Resuscitation Instructor Examiner with RACGP, EAR, owner of LifeVac Australia and TGA sponsor of LifeVac. Just to be clear, my name's Jacqueline Hope. I'm here in support of Brian and I'm speaking on behalf of Simon Gould, who is over East. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for your statement. We now go, are there any other questions from the chamber this evening from anyone in any statements? Thank you. We now move to item 4. Oh, sorry, Brian, did you want to make a statement as well? Take the podium and we'll have to probably keep it to 2 minutes because you've already spoken.
I just want to say a word of gratitude to anybody who's going to consider the alternative motion. Councillor Smith, I can't look at you, but I just want to give you your flowers and thank you for standing with me when my son passed away and you in the arena with me. No matter what was going to happen, I'm a person that doing this has been very tiring. And my son is watching or listening. And I want to say, I'm a proud dad. Thank you for lifting me up. Finish watching Bluey and go to bed. But this is how we deal with grief. When you knock down, you rise up again. And I will fail as a dad if I don't teach you how to grieve. So I want to say thank you, son, for letting me go to almost 20 council meetings around WA. Thank you for sharing with people never gonna see my tears and scars. And thank you, Mayor, for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. And every councillor who I've bombarded with emails and brought in the big guns, this will be the best $2,000 to $3,000 we're gonna invest in this city. So I wanna just say thank you for taking the time. And I'm still grieving, but I'm much better than last year. I'm standing tall. Wanneroo, let's get it home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Buoga, and our hearts go out to you and your family as well. We now go to item 4, confirmation of minutes. The first minutes that we're confirming is OCO 1725, the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 24th of June 2025. So we are moving that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 24th of June 2025 be confirmed, subject to the updating, which in relation to item CPO 20625, the Local Heritage Survey 2025, note an administrative amendment to attachment 3, the Local Heritage Survey place records 46 to 90, to update the place listing, address and photograph for place 67, Wanneroo Community Nursing Home. Do I have a mover and seconder for those minutes as changed? Deputy Mayor Rowe, seconded Councillor Seif. Do I have any questions on this item? Or Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak to it, Councillor Seif? Any questions on this? If so, councillors, could you please cast your vote on these minutes as amended? Thank you. And that is passed unanimously. We now go to the second lot of minutes to confirm. That is SOC 01625, minutes of the special council meeting held on the 4th of December. That the minutes of the special council meeting held on the 4th of December be confirmed. Do I have a mover and seconder to confirm? Moved, Councillor Wright. Seconded, Councillor Park. Councillor Wright, do you want to make a statement?
Other than to say the briefing note that was circulated by administration has provided the information on why that was missed, and satisfied by that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Parker, would you like to speak to this?
Nothing to add, thanks.
Any speakers against? If there are no speakers against, councillors, please cast your vote. Councillor Figg? Oh, Councillor Coetzee. You're the wrong way round tonight, aren't you? Have you voted? Okay, so we have 13 councillors supporting this and 1, the Deputy Mayor, has voted against this. We now go to item 5, which is announcements by the Mayor without discussion. This is really exciting, this one. The City of Wanneroo has been proudly recognised at the 2025 National Awards for Local Government, receiving honours in 2 key categories: disaster readiness and recovery for our response to the Mariginiup bushfire recovery, and women in local government, celebrating the outstanding contributions of Kirsten Thrush and Katie Russell during the recovery efforts. We also received an honourable mention in the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Peoples Recognition category for the Dordak Keep Up Noongar naming project, a meaningful initiative that reflects our respect for culture, language and connection to country. These acknowledgements are more than just awards. They're a testament to the strength, compassion and resilience of our community. They reflect the tireless work of our staff, the courage of our residents, and the spirit of collaboration that defines Wanneroo. To everyone who played a part, whether on the front lines or behind the scenes, thank you. Your dedication and your heart continue to make a real difference. Council and I are incredibly proud to stand alongside you. And I'd like Kirsten to come forward and take the... I've got all this glassware here. Here we go. I better not break it, had I? It cost a lot to get it. Is there anyone to do a photo op? You get the boxes in a bit later. We now go to item 6, which is questions from council members, but I'm sure the council members will want to ask the questions at the time the items come to the agenda. You have a question? Councillor Miles.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I have a question which planning was notified 2 weeks ago, so they do have an answer, I believe. My question, Mayor, goes to Hastings Street, Wanneroo, the vacant land that used to be the school. And that was obviously got ready in 2017. And the questions I'm asking is because the developers over the side here, Stocklands, have been able to develop their land in a fairly quick timeline, and there are houses and people living in there already over the last 2 years. So my question is to administration, do we know who the current owners of the site are? Have we approached the owners to see what their plan is? And is there anything that we as a council can do, bearing in mind that we do have a shortfall of properties on the market in the town site?
Mr Piggott,
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Miles, for your questions. On behalf of administration, yes, I can confirm that administration has investigated this matter, and it's been determined that there are 5 lots that are state government owned within that precinct, comprising approximately 8,000 square metres. And in terms of those parcels of land, they're owned by a variety of state government entities, namely Landcorp Dev WA, the Department of Communities, Housing and Works, WAPC. And in terms of the development capacity of those sites, there's no current development approvals that exist on those listed lots. But the city has been in contact with DPLH, the Department of Communities and Development WA, to find out what their plans for the lots are. However, we're yet to receive a response. In terms of how the city may assist in the delivery of development on the land, we are able to fast-track assessment of any applications that are received, and we can explore advocacy work to support and encourage development.
Thank you, Mr Piggott. Are there any other questions from councillors this evening in this item? If there are no other questions, we now go to item 7, petitions. I understand that Councillor Wright has a petition to present.
Thank you, Mayor.
Do you have a seconder as well?
Yep,
Councillor Miles.
Thank you, Mayor. I am presenting a petition on behalf of 1,110 signatories to grant an exemption to the proposed dogs on leash only proposal for Civic Park, Wanneroo. We respectfully ask that the area from Arete Avenue to Neville Drive remain off leash with dogs under effective control. Thank you.
Thank you. And would you like to speak to that petition, Councillor Miles? Okay, and I'll take the mover and seconder as to receive the petitions as well. So, councillors, could you cast your vote to receive the petitions, please? And that is passed unanimously. We have an update on petitions in the agenda, and we now go to item 8, reports. Declarations of interest by council members, including the nature and extent of which the interest are to be made at the commencement of the item to which the interest relates. Declarations of interest forms are to be completed and handed to the Chief Executive Officer So we are now going to go to item PS 01625, Planning and Development. Do I have a mover and seconder for this item? Moved Councillor Miles. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Herridge. Councillor Miles, would you like to speak to this item?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, we did obviously ask questions last week of administration with regard to this item, and clearly the development application as articulated in this response to the petition was approved under delegated authority. I understand that whilst from a pure planning perspective it was allowed to be approved, I still understand that the state agency for liquor licensing will still yet to have an application and actually approve that. So I understand that the residents that are concerned about that still have another option to obviously object to the liquor licence itself, whilst the cafe component probably can continue. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Herridge, would you like to speak to this item?
No, thank you, Mayor. Councillor Miles has done that well. Thanks.
Thank you. Do I have any speakers against this item? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Paul basically said it well. As I wasn't here for the past meeting, I would like to speak against it. I am speaking in the support of the many concerned residents who had expressed to me their strong opposition of the proposed development of this bar whilst I was on maternity leave. The site sits at the heart of a suburb nestled in a quiet residential area surrounded by family homes. It is not located at the centre or commercial precinct, but a neighbourhood where families expect peace, safety and a family-friendly environment, not disruption, noise and traffic that is often accompanied to a licensed venue. I know this expectation well, having lived just 250 metres from the proposed site, and while I no longer reside there, I remain closely connected to the community through friends and former neighbours, and now as their councillor. Though I wasn't serving on council when this development was first approved, its original intention was very clear: to function as a local medical hub. The tenancy now proposed as a bar was purpose designed to accommodate a pharmacy, complementing the existing GP practice and contributing to the health and well-being of local residents. Understandably, after sitting vacant for some time, the focus may have shifted. But this new direction is not consistent with the character or expectations of the area. Equally concerning is the fact that this building was never constructed for food and beverage use. It lacks the essential infrastructure required for such operation, including a commercial kitchen, grease trap and exhaust ducting. While the vendors propose not to require or utilise these features, any future vendors attempting to retrofit these elements into space not designed for them poses significant challenges for both operational viability and long-term community impact. Noise is another key issue. The venue lacks soundproofing, not only for the surrounding homes, but also the medical professionals working just metres away. These practitioners deserve a quiet, respectable working environment free from disruptions associated from bar operations. Finally, it's worth noting that a purpose-built tavern has already been approved elsewhere in Banksia Grove. That venue will provide hospitality services in a more suitable location, designed with the necessary infrastructure and proper separation from residential homes. In summary, I do believe this proposal was not an appropriate fit, not for this building, nor for the street, and not for the community. I respectfully ask that the residents do reach out and we go to the state level. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Do I have any speakers for this item? Is there any councillors against this item? Okay, Councillor Miles, I'll give you the right of reply. No right of reply? If there's no right of reply, councillors, please cast your vote. and the council recommendation has been supported by 13 councillors, with 1 against, which is Councillor Moore. We now go to item PSO 20625, Southern Two Rocks Beach Access Foreshore Management Plan, which is moved by Councillor Coetzee and seconded Councillor Figg. There is an amendment on the table which I am moving, but if Councillor Figg and Councillor Coetzee are happy to incorporate that amendment in their substantive, we can go with it that way. Are you happy to incorporate the amendment in your substantive? Okay, so therefore, Councillor Coetzee, would you like to speak to this as amended? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sitting on the opposite side tonight. So I'm speaking, sorry to ask this, but I'm speaking now as all three. Okay, thank you. I would like to express my gratitude to everyone who has been and continues to be involved in this significant issue. The community in Two Rocks has been advocating for new beach access since 2014. The accumulation of sea wrack in the area has become a serious problem, especially during the summer months, leading to issues with beach usability, public safety, and unpleasant odours. It is fantastic news that we are endorsing the Two Rocks Beach Access Foreshore Management Plan and send a copy to the West Australian Planning Commission for consideration as a supporting document for the development application for the Two Rocks Beach Access and Car Park, for the administration to further investigate the possibility of extending the Two Rocks Dog Beach south to connect it to the southern access point. I hope that this process on their side goes smoothly and that the Two Rocks community soon enjoys the new beach access. Thank you once again, and I encourage all of my councillors to support me in this.
Thank you, Councillor Coetzee. Councillor Figg, would you like to speak to this item as amended?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I believe that this one has been before council a few times in the past, and I want to thank councillors who have been part of that process, as Councillor Coetzee has just articulated. It's been a long process, it's been a difficult one, and I'm really thankful that councillors have allowed it to continue to this point. It's been an extremely difficult process for our administration to go through as well, but to get to the heart of why this is such a great outcome for the community to progress. There is a fundamental need for more beach access in our northern suburbs. That's probably the chief reason. I think anyone who goes to Yanchep Lagoon on a nice summer's day would realise that. The entire northern corridor benefits when there are more beach access points of this sort of magnitude. The second aspect is that it really it melds well with our coastal lifestyle. Our laid-back coastal lifestyle is something that I often like to say. It also, rather opposite to that, encourages an active lifestyle as well. So kids who want to go down to the beach no longer have to traipse through dunes, destroying them. They can go through a purpose-built path, an access way, which is fantastic. It expands beach access right when we need it. So coupled with the Capricorn node and several other developments along the area, particularly in Alkimos and Eglinton, it'll alleviate pressure on beaches along the whole coastal strip, which is fantastic. I think moving briefly to the amendment that's been incorporated into the substantive, we know we need more space for dogs, so it's going to be excellent that that is being considered as part of this. I know it's not a finalised outcome, but to be investigated is an important step. I also want to pay my regards to the Two Rocks and Yanchep Residents Association for their work in progressing this as well. They've worked very hard since I've been at that organisation in trying to get this done, and I'm very thankful for all their work. And even more so, I'm thankful for the Two Rocks residents who've taken part in the process as well, including the petition, I believe, which originally kick-started this process. So thank you to everyone involved. It's a good outcome so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Figg. Do I have any speakers against this item? If there are no speakers against this item, please cast your vote as amended. Thank you. And as Councillor Huntley's out of the room, it is now passed unanimously. I now ask for a procedural motion to bring forward the airway clearance devices at the city-managed facilities. Do I have a mover and seconder to do this? Moved Councillor Smith, seconded Deputy Mayor Rowe. Can we please go to the vote to bring that item forward? May I make a suggestion that we actually raise our hands for it, because I haven't got the voting, So we all agree to bring the LifeVac item forward. It's on now? Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have it on the screen here, so I understand. Do you have it up there? Oh, we don't have it in front of us. So we've got 13, which means it's unanimous. Now it's on this screen here. So we now go to the procedural motion. We go to CP 10725, the airway clearance device. Okay, do I have a mover and seconder for CP 010725, understanding that if it lapses, we go straight to the alternative? We have a mover through Councillor Parker. Do we have a seconder? Do you want to withdraw your moving? Okay. Okay, so the motion has lapsed, so we now go to the proposed alternative, which has been brought by Councillor Smith and seconded by myself. Councillor Smith, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Mayor. I definitely would. First off, I'd like to acknowledge Brian and Jacqueline today, and Simon as well, for his email that Jacqueline read out. That was, I think, really important for us to hear tonight, especially in terms of in comparison to our report that we received. So it was very interesting information in there. And I want to recognise the tireless work that both of you have done since we first saw you as well, bringing. It has taken a bit of time to get here, but I'm glad that we are at this decision point tonight. Just a few comments in terms of the report, and I thank my fellow councillors for us being able to proceed to the alternative straight away. First issue that I think we've heard before as well, in terms of that LifeVac or any airway clearance device, the recommendation is that you always use it at the last moment, if that makes sense, after the other chest thrusts, back blows have not worked, which I think is pretty natural cause of actions. So that's great. Sorry, I'm not speaking great tonight. My main other point is we've just also recently gone through 2 elections, and those 2 elections, the main issue was cost of living. And one of the recommendations in the report was that because LifeVacs and airway clearance devices are quite cheap, in 130, that the onus should be on families to buy them. First point to that is I myself have a LifeVac for my family and household, but I keep that in my house, not in my car. So if I'm at a community facility, that does not help me there. But it also doesn't make sense financially in terms of thousands of families having to have 1 or 2 and then having 1 at a community facility that can service or be there in case of need for many thousands of people. So in terms of the money point, that doesn't make sense to me either. And I think that is a duty of care that we can do, because it is quite affordable for us to do as well. So besides the cost of living point and the duty of care, I think this is extremely valuable thing for the City of Wanneroo to provide to our residents and ratepayers. So I strongly urge my fellow councillors to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. As I'm seconding it, I will speak to this item. Thank you, councillors. I want to speak on a matter that concerns the safety and well-being of our most vulnerable community members, particularly young children, older adults and people living with disability. Choking remains one of the leading causes of accidental injury and death among children under 5, according to the Journal of Paediatric Critical Care 2024. An average of 140 choking-related deaths occur each year in the United States alone. I know these aren't Australian stats, but I do have some Australian stats. In these incidents, food, especially items like nuts, seeds, popcorn and hard lollies, is the most common cause, but small objects like coins, batteries and toys are also known hazards. Even with public education, product safety regulations and labelling laws, choking emergencies still occur, often suddenly and silently. And while standard first aid procedures like back blows or the Heimlich manoeuvre are essential, they don't always work. In fact, studies show they fail in up to 26% of cases in the general population. This is where LifeVac, a simple, non-invasive anti-choking device, comes in. It's already saving lives where first aid has failed. LifeVac is a handheld suction device with a one-way valve that helps remove an obstruction from the airway in just seconds. It's portable, easy to use and designed for both adults and children. Importantly, it's registered with the Australian Register of Therapeutic Goods, as well as the US, FDA and UK's regulatory bodies. From 2012 to 2022, 299 children under the age of 5 were successfully assisted using LifeVac worldwide, the youngest just 3 days old. Globally, it has now saved over 4,300 lives, including more than 2,300 children and over 75 Australians, all without failure, harm or delay, and all after first aid attempts had been unsuccessful. It is currently being used by parents, paramedics, school nurses, aged care workers, disability support carers, and even untrained bystanders. It is a proven, practical and cost-effective backup in any setting where a choking emergency might occur. Council has already demonstrated leadership in promoting health and safety in our community. I ask that we now take a step further by supporting this alternative to place LifeVac anti-choking devices in our local facilities, with a view to including childcare centres, community centres and aged care programs and council-supported events in the future. It is small enough to be kept alongside an AED. It is simple enough to be used by anyone, and it could quite literally mean the difference between life and death. This is not about replacing first aid. It's about giving our residents and staff another tool in the moments when every second counts. Councillors, please support this alternative. Thank you. Do I have any speakers against this item, this alternative? If I have no speakers against this alternative, I'm going to ask councillors to vote on it. Thank you. And that has been passed unanimously as Councillor Huntley is out of the room. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for all the effort you're putting in. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Mayor Aitken, I imagine you're going to move a procedural motion next.
To bring the budget forward.
No, I was going to say, given that there's members of the gallery for one other item here, I think it would be appropriate to bring theirs forward, which would be CPO 30725.
Can you confirm which one that one is?
That is response to petition PTO2 0525, request or upgrades at Addison Park, Mayoral.
Okay, yes. Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Herridge, can we bring that item through, please? For vote. Do I have a mover and seconder for the substantive petition? And then we'll go to the amendment. Councillor Smith?
May I do both? So move it and move the
Okay, what
amendment?
I'll do is I'll move the amendment. If we have a mover and seconder for the substantive, then I'll offer the amendment for you, like I did with Councillor Coetzee and Councillor Figg. So if you move the substantive, do you have a seconder for the substantive? Councillor Berry. Okay, and I will move the alternative, or the amendment, sorry. Councillor Smith, would you like to accept the amendment into the substantive you have moved?
Yes, thank you.
And Councillor Berry, are you happy to accept the amendment into Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Smith. Could you speak to the substantive as amended? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This one is a great one I love as well because it's come from a petition as well. So I love seeing the action from people and I thank Ros and the Biggles of Addison community for bringing it to represent the local community and the needs. So it's great that the recommendation is to endorse the installation of a picnic settings, shelter, drink fountain and barbecue to add to the community that's already there and help them with their health and well-being and community. So that's fantastic. With now the incorporated amendment, so while point 1 says for it to be listed for consideration in the city's long-term financial plan in 26-27, during discussions with administration during prior weeks, they believe, as has been said in the report now, or as in the amendment, they believe that that can be incorporated into this financial year with money coming in through the mid-year financial budget, mid-year budget review, apologies. So that's very positive news, and it actually surprised me how quickly the wheels of bureaucracy moved on this one, so it's very pleasing, swings and roundabouts. So it's great to have this and the lights turned on as well. So I do encourage my fellow councillors to support this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Berry, would you like to speak to this item?
Ready yet? Sorry, blonde moment. I'd just like to thank the community members that are here tonight for coming and sharing the concerns that you have. And I can't really say much more than what Councillor Smith has had, so said and enlightened us too. So thank you very much. And I think we can, unless anyone wants to speak against, I'd encourage everyone to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. We have a question from Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. At the briefing session, there were some questions raised around the removal of some of the equipment at that park. Has administration updated their procedures now, once equipment is removed, that it is replaced within a certain time frame rather than put into a 20-year plan?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. As I advised at the briefing session, ordinarily, if an equipment is removed, that is replaced with like for like. In this instance, as the report has been updated, it does say that due to the pending review of the master plan, that didn't occur. Now, given the petition and given the response, the report does state that we will be replacing that equipment at Addison Park this financial year.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Do we have any speakers? We have another question from Councillor Miles.
Thank you. Just on the amendment, whilst I'm not opposed to doing the work, Mayor, item 1 is telling us to put it in the 26-27 long-term financial plan. Item 2 is telling us to do the design in this financial year and install it before June of 26. I'm just wondering whether item 1 should actually be there at all if we're going to adopt item 2 as being the amendment.
Mr Singh, do you have some words that you are suggesting?
Thank you, Mayor. The way these 3 items are in there, one is endorsement to go in the LTFP for in 26-27. Second one is subject to funds being approved in mid-year review. That's where it is. So obviously it's subject to further decision of council as part of mid-year review. That's why both need to remain.
Thank you, Mr Singh. Do you have another question, Councillor Miles?
Yeah, I guess item 2 is actually 2 parts because it then also says to undertake the construction work by June of 2026.
Mr Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. Given that hypothetically, if not, it's only 1, we will still be completing a design and planning for that one this financial year. And construction obviously is a short period of construction. If funds are identified in mid-year budget review, we can then schedule construction in 4th quarter of financial year.
Thank you, Mr Singh. Any other questions on this item? Deputy Mayor Rowe.
Thanks, Mayor. Just in reference to the changes to the report that have been flagged, the administration last week indicated that they would be updating the website to reflect where there's been information that is misleading on what parks have specific types of equipment. Has that occurred yet?
Mr Clem.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I can confirm the website's been updated.
Deputy Mayor Rowe.
And just a sort of follow-up question that I will phrase as a question. Given Ms Casey has indicated the long history of this particular site and project and master plan, and it's required a resident to document and keep records going back more than a decade, is the administration intending to use this as a bit of a case study for how we can improve going forward on the active reserve master plan, which for quite some time has been said is out of date?
Ms Davis.
Through the Mayor, thank you, Deputy Mayor, for your question, and yes, we would.
Thank you. Are there any speakers against this item as amended? If there are no speakers against this item as amended, I don't think we need the right to reply. Councillors, could you please cast your vote? And that is passed unanimously with all the councillors in the room. Thank you very much. If you guys want to go home, you're quite welcome to go home. You don't have to stay to the end of the evening, okay? Go home and rug up maybe a hot cocoa. We now go to a procedural motion to bring forward the budget. Do I have a mover and seconder to bring forward the budget? Deputy Mayor Rowe, thank you. Do I have a seconder to bring the budget forward in the agenda? Councillor Herridge, thank you. So can we now go to vote on the procedural motion to bring the budget forward as the next item on the agenda? Thank you, councillors. Okay, that procedural motion has been passed with 12 supporting it and 1 against, which was Councillor Miles. So we now go to CSO 5725, the adoption of the 25-26, 28-29 corporate business plan, the 25-26 annual budget and the 25-26 schedule of fees and charges. I will be moving this and Councillor Bedworth is seconding it. I've got to find my speech on the desk now. Good evening, everyone. I'm proud to move the City of Wanneroo's 2025-26 budget a budget built with purpose, shaped by our community and focused on delivering what matters most to our residents. Through our recent Wanneroo livability survey, thousands of residents shared their hopes and expectations for their neighbourhoods, and their message was clear. People want a safe, connected, livable and well-governed city, a thriving local economy and a sustainable future. We've listened and we've acted. This budget is a direct reflection of our community's priorities, carefully designed to meet the needs of both today and tomorrow. It acknowledges our city's growth, the evolution of our neighbourhoods and the challenges we face, from rising living costs to global economic pressures, requiring council to be smart, focused and forward-thinking. The proposed $353.4 million budget includes the city's largest ever capital works program, a $132.6 million investment in local infrastructure, facilities and services. The budget before you proposes an overall rate increase of 3.5% across all rating categories. For residential ratepayers in particular, it proposes a 3% increase. Through stronger collaboration with all levels of government and a strategic emphasis on diversifying our revenue streams, I'm proud to share that half of this year's budget will be funded from sources beyond rates collected. It's an ambitious yet achievable plan, building on the successful delivery of last year's capital program, which, for the first time, was fully completed. Congratulations to your team, Mr. Singh. That success marked a turning point for the city, a testament to our growing capability in delivering large-scale, community-focused projects. It's also earned us the trust of our partners, other levels of government, industry and stakeholders who are excited to invest alongside us because they've seen what we can deliver. Projects like the Alkimos Aquatic Recreation Centre, with $48.9 million being allocated for this year. Once complete, this state-of-the-art facility will give families, sporting clubs and social groups in our northern suburbs a place to swim, exercise and connect. We're also delivering the Dordak Keep Up Library and Youth Innovation Hub, set to open in Lansdale in December this year. This $18 million project is a bold investment in our young people and our shared future. While flagship projects are important, we're equally committed to enhancing the everyday spaces that shape community life. This budget invests in upgrading existing community recreation facilities right across the city, from revitalised club rooms at the Wanneroo Showgrounds to vital upgrades to community centres in Carramar, Butler, Yanship and Girrawang. Because whether you live in a long-established neighbourhood or a growing suburb, we believe every one of our residents deserves access to modern, inclusive and well-maintained spaces. Importantly, this budget also delivers on our community's call for a safer city. $3.7 million will go toward community safety this year, including upgrades to the Two Rocks Bushfire Brigade and progressing the Wanneroo Emergency Services Precinct, making sure we're better prepared for emergencies, protecting lives and property. As part of our goal for a connected and livable city, we're investing $18.2 million in local road upgrades and $6.7 million in new and upgraded pathways, including safer shared paths and installing lighting in a number of our parks. Whether you're commuting, walking the dog or riding with your kids, you'll see improvements in how you move through our neighbourhoods. We're also investing in places that bring joy and connection, including new play spaces in Rotary Park and by installing shade and picnic facilities across popular parks and playgrounds across the city. As part of our sustainability goal, we've committed $4.4 million to improve waste management, including expanding our recycling centres and building waste transfer stations to help reduce our environmental footprint and future-proof our waste services. Every dollar in this budget is a deliberate investment in what our community needs now and in what we'll need in the years to come. It's a budget grounded in financial discipline, community feedback and the economic realities we all face. And it's a budget made possible by the work of our council and administration, working together with our community front of mind every step of the way. It's a statement of who we are and what we value: safety, connection, sustainability, opportunity, and good governance. It reflects who we are and where we are going. I'd like to thank our community for their trust, their feedback, and their continued partnership in building a stronger City of Wanneroo for today and for generations to come. Councillors, we've spent many hours together in budget workshops, thoughtfully shaping a budget that reflects the priorities and needs of our community. I believe this budget represents a strong, balanced approach to delivering essential services and investing in our future. I hope you will join me in supporting its adoption. I'd like to just go to Councillor Bedworth, who's the seconder to speak to the item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. No budget presented to this council is easy to consider, and for me this has been no different. With the spectre of cost of living still looming large in family homes, we've had to balance this budget knowing that pressure points are already showing in our community's everyday choices. Like many in our community, I believe any necessary rate increases should be kept as close to CPI as possible, and the State Treasury forecast per CPI to average 2.75% for 25-26. The City of Wanneroo's proposed budget before you proposes the overall rate increase of 3.5%, and this is a residential ratepayers uplift of 3%, marginally higher than the forecast of 2.75%. The rate increases being adopted by other councils in WA are a signal of the increasing costs that local governments face. For example, Kwinana and Stirling adopted a 4.5% increase, 3.8% over at Swan, and 7% down in Busselton. That context matters, and I'm pleased to see Wanneroo coming in at the low end. Importantly, the rate increase is not driven by ambition, it's driven by necessity. There's been a 12% rise in wastegate fees, higher energy costs, and significant charges imposed at the state level. The City has aimed to protect service levels and offer flexible payment options to those who are genuinely struggling. It's also worth remembering who we are as a city. Wanneroo is one of the largest and, more importantly, fastest growing councils in Western Australia. We now serve more than 237,000 residents, and we're still growing faster than the Perth average. Suburbs like Two Rocks, Alkimos and Eglinton are expanding at double-digit rates. That growth brings pressure on roads, on services, and on the budget. But it also brings opportunity and the need to plan responsibly. City admin staff and councillors have worked hard through numerous workshops to safeguard the levels of service our residents rightly expect, whilst aiming to keep any increase as low as is practical in the current financial climate. I'm supporting this budget because on balance it responds to those realities. It keeps the increase modest, it delivers for a rapidly expanding population, and it takes genuine steps to look after our community. It's not perfect, but it is fair, and in my view, it is responsible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bedworth. Do I have a declaration of interest here from Councillor Wright. Would you like to read your declaration? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. With regard to item CSO 50725, adoption of the 25-26 Corporate Business Plan, 25-26 Annual Budget and 25-26 Schedule of Fees and Charges, I am a financial sponsor of the Wanneroo BMX Club and Wanneroo Horse and Pony Club through donations, and as a consequence there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected. I declare that I'll consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you. Councillor Miles.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I too, with regard to item CSO 50725, the adoption of the 2025-26 budget, I disclose that I am a member of the Quinns Rock Sports Club, and as a consequence of that, there may be a perception of my impartiality on the matter and may be affected. I declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. With regard to the item that is before us, I disclose that I'm a member of the Girraween Lions Club. As a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected. I declare that I'll consider the matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you. Councillor Berry.
Thank you, Mayor. With regard to the item that's before us, I too declare that with regard to the item, I disclose that as I'm a member of the Quinns Rock Sports and Social Club, I'm also a member of the RSL at Quinns. As a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected. I declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go to Councillor Coetzee.
With regards to items CS05, 0725, I disclose that I'm a member of the Yanchep Sports Club. As a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected. I declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you. Councillor Huntley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too have a disclosure with regard to the item CS05, 0725. I disclose that I am a member of the Wanneroo RSL, the Wanneroo Historical Society, and also now the Wanneroo Lions Club. And as a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected, and I declare that I will consider the matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you. Councillor Bedworth. I'm just working around the room.
Thank you, not to be left out, but with regard to the item which is before us, I disclose that I too am a member of the Quinns Rock Sports and Social Club. As a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected, but I do declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you. Councillor Seif.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In regards to item CS05-07/25, I disclose that I am a member of the Girraween Lions Club. As a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on this matter may be affected. I declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you, Councillor Seif. And with regard to item CS05-0725, I disclose that I'm a social club member of the Yanchep Sports and Social Club. As a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected, and I declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly. Has everyone done their items of declaration on this item, councillors? I think that's a record, isn't it? Okay, do I have any speakers against the budget? I have a question. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had one question from me. On page 3 of the report has the integrated planning framework. I just noticed in the future version that's in there, there seems to be the removal of those quarterly performance reporting. I just want to double check that we will still be receiving quarterly reports on the council plan, noting that this will be going into that.
Ms Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. And yes, there's no intention of taking those quarterly reports away from the Audit and Risk Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor, Deputy Mayor Rowe, do you have a question?
Mayor, I note that 2 amendments have been circulated, and I believe Councillor Miles was submitted first. So in terms of the process, if that is what we'll be doing now, or I trust your judgment as to when we'll be considering the amendments.
Well, if the councillors want to bring the amendments now, I'm quite happy to do it. Councillor Miles, do you have a seconder for your amendment?
I have an amendment, yes, thank you, Mayor. I will be seeking a seconder from the floor because I didn't have time to reach out to anybody today. It's been nice to get it on the agenda. Councillor Huntley.
Okay. Councillor Miles, would you like to speak to the amendment?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, I wasn't able to attend one of the briefings that we did with regard to waste services, and I haven't had a subsequent catch-up with what was discussed at that evening's event or discussion. And I note that administration are requesting Council adopt a $440 fee for waste services for the coming year. I'm requesting council to adopt continue the adoption of the $425 fee, mainly on the basis, if you have a look at the proposed amendment in the reasoning, I actually have been back through all of the financial activity statements from July of last year. So that's not necessarily, it was to July meetings. So July may be June's data and August may be July's data. But the gist of the matter was, in every single one except for, I think there was one, there was always a surplus because of, in waste services, because they had delivered more waste services or more bins to new houses that were being constructed, and that's in the first part of those figures. So if you look at July, there was $258,000 extra collected through new bin services being delivered. And the second part of the dollars in the brackets was actually the lower removal expenditure of waste, which was also identified in the actual documentation that we receive on a monthly basis. Now, those figures are good. I'm not being critical of those figures at all. I think it's good that if administration are saving dollars every month and also obviously receiving extra funds that have been unbudgeted for along the way. And whilst it does have a total there of $6.3 million over the 12-month period, it obviously, that's where I've got those numbers from. Now, I just want to touch on some of the comments administration have suggested, and they're saying that during the, and I think councillors understand that I have probably been questioning the numbers from our waste management team for some time, and would like to see something a bit more rigid or rigged in those numbers, because waste services are suggesting that the actual surplus for this financial year is only about $654,000. We also, in the actual item, if we look at paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, they're suggesting, sorry, paragraph 5, they're suggesting that over the next 5 years, waste services are going to require $21 million for capital to operate that division, and that's obviously to purchase new services along the way. And we're not talking about trucks and that's obviously included, but I'm not counting that in. At the moment, if we look at our financial activity statement in our report that we've got on our agenda tonight, there's $15 million already in our reserve for waste management. And I know some $6 million has to come out of that to pay for our waste transfer station up the road there. $500,000 does have to come out because of the issue we had in the South Ward. That has to obviously be credited to the South Ward residents' rates, but that still leaves a considerable amount of money. Now, my main complaint is that how long a period of time do we as a council say that we want to save up for a project or pay a project off? So if we know that there's, and we don't know what those costs for Nirrabap are, we haven't been presented those and we haven't approved any. We've only approved the planning of the Nirrabap waste services area, and I'm totally fully supportive of it. However, if it's, say, $30 million to set that facility up, are we then saying that we need to collect that money, $30 million capital, over 5 years or 10 years? And I think that's my whole grasp about the whole budget nature with regard to waste services. It's not a matter of we shouldn't have to buy stuff. I have no problem with that. But I'm trying to ascertain what is the actual operational cost, what is the, we know what the tipping fees are because I see those costs all the time through MRC and through our waste services, but it's the capital required to replace not just the trucks, but also some of that other items. I feel that at this stage, I would like to keep this year at the current 425, happy to put it up next year, but I want to see how we're going to deliver those capital improvements to our waste services team before we as a council adopt an increase for just the capital component. I know that we need other services within waste, and that's why, and I am And on the bottom line of administration's comment, it does say that if they don't increase the fee this year, there'll be no money going into the reserve this year, this financial year. I struggle to accept that as a comment, bearing in mind that every month we're in surplus and we're adding every month or every couple of months to the waste reserve, which has already gone up from just around 14 million to 15 million in 1 year, and we've been paying out all this money for the Nirrabut planning and also for the services for the new transfer station. So I'm just asking Council for this financial year to adopt it at the current rate of $4.25, and then by the Christmas time when we started doing our budgets, we'll know exactly where we need to go. And I can, just to finish off, Mayor, just say that as an MRC councillor, we were able to save a substantial amount of money through some good luck, planning, and a little bit of discussion, where we're not starting the higher gate fee until January of next year. So we're actually 6 months in front. And our administration has acknowledged that in this report, and I believed it was around $600,000 or $700,000, which will go into the waste reserve for future use. So there is money going in there. So it's a contradiction within their own report that no money is going to go in there, but then they're already planning to put money in there. So I don't want to be too picky, but that's my argument, councillors, and I ask you to support keeping our waste services fee at $4.25. And I'm happy to sit down with administration and work out a way that we can deliver the projects we need to deliver, but also identify within a Waste Services Committee report that we as a council can see where that money is being funded and going to. Because we must remember that the waste services is a fee for service. We cannot use it for anything else legally except for waste services. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Miles. Councillor Huntley, did you want to speak to this item?
Very quickly, Madam Mayor, just to say that in total agreement with what my colleagues said, and also obviously looking at the developments that are coming on board just this year. So in 2025-26, we're going to see houses in Wanneroo, Eglinton, Alkimos, Two Rocks and Yanchep, all big estates coming on board. I do think that just dropping the fee by $15 for a household will actually allow us to monitor a little bit better what the outcomes of these are, and I think it's a good trial to actually see where investment needs to be and where it's going now. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any speakers against this amendment? Do you have a question or against? Against. Okay, Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. And Councillor Miles knows I agree with him pretty much on 99% of things other than this 1%. Look, just an alternative perspective for councillors. I'm also just wanted to also share that Councillor Miles and myself have also advocated very fiercely on MRC to make sure the gate fees are quite low and to make sure that that fees doesn't have huge spikes for our residents. So I just wanted to also commend my colleague for that. Just in regards to this amendment, though, I do have some concerns with the no transfers into the waste reserve. Even though we are taking a little bit extra to be able to pay for those projects that are upcoming in the long-term financial plan, there is a thing that I do want to point out for councillors, which is that potential liability for the Tamala Park landfill site. And at some stage, this council will receive a bill from the MRC. We don't know how much that will be, but I can guess and I can estimate it will be more than what is in our reserve at the moment, based on our member share. I think it will be very significant, considering of all the issues that have occurred at that site that is in the public domain, with leachate issues, community sentiments and all of that side of things. I think there will be some pretty significant costs for all members of that regional council, and I don't want to see us having to put up that waste fee in the next 5 or 6 years once we know those costs from 425 to 825 in 1 year. I much rather smooth that over time so residents are not feeling the pinch in 2 or 3 of those financial years. So we don't know what that cost is, and Councillor Miles is right, we don't know what that cost is, but I have a feeling it will be quite a large one for all member councils, all 7 member councils in that regional council, due to all of the significant issues, considering that this was one of the very first landfill sites in the Perth metropolitan area. So I do think we do need to be responsible and make sure we are keeping portions. At the end of the day, if we do have that little bit extra, we can freeze the waste fees in future years, and that will have a savings for residents in future years, that we don't have to increase the waste fee. So I think it does balance it out. It is a different way of doing it, but I do think we do need to make sure, as we enter an uncertain time period, council has endorsed that the waste risk is also a very high risk to this council, so we do need to put those contingencies in place, and sometimes if that means extra fees for that part of the period, at least it's going to cover us and cover residents as well, so we're not having huge variations in our waste fee. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Do I have any speakers for the item? If I have no speakers for the item, Councillor Miles, would you like the right of reply?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, I guess, just to reiterate what I said, but also just to come back to, I guess, some statements that Councillor made. With regard to the MRC. Now, there are always going to be some liabilities for all 7 member councils for the MRC site over the next 40 to 50 years. But as councillors know, we always are looking at putting money aside in reserves for that contingency going forward. The MRC is requesting $30 million, and we're working through that at the moment. And there's already a substantial money in there. There's also a plan to put in possible the FOGO facility, which there's a proposal there when that goes out for public comment to get a couple of $1 million rent from that site. Well, that's a 10-year program, that's $20 million. Solar panels, another $20 million. So MRC Council is being very, very upfront on what it needs to do to make sure its 7 member councils are going to obviously be looked after when it comes to after the fact and after the lease is over. Just to say, I do agree that there is going to be some capital costs, but I don't believe that I've been given anything myself to say that's the cost of that component of our fee is that cost. And that's where I'm coming from. I've asked that question for the last 6 or 7 years, and that's why I've now got to this point where I want us to really have a look at the service fee. Don't change it this year. We can increase it to $15 next year if we need to do it. We do not need that money next year or the following year for our near-abut resource recovery, because I'm sure by then comes we will have a lot more than the $15 million we currently have in that reserve. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Miles. Councillors, could you please cast your vote on the amendment? Okay, and the amendment is lost. There were 9 against and 5 for. The councillors for the amendment was Councillor Huntley, Councillor Bedworth, Councillor Figg, Councillor Miles and Councillor Berry. Those who were against the amendment was myself, Councillor Seif, Councillor Moore, Councillor Parker, Deputy Mayor Rowe, Councillor Herridge, Councillor Smith and Councillor Coetzee. We now go to the second amendment, which is moved by...
Mayor. Because me and Councillor Figg swapped, that is also a swap up there.
Oh, so you were... Councillor Figg was against. Councillor Figg was against and Councillor Coetzee was for. Cool. Please note that on the minutes, guys. Thank you. We now go to the second amendment of the evening on this item. Understanding standing orders allow only 2 amendments on any item on the agenda. Deputy Mayor Rowe, do you have a seconder for your amendment?
I do. It's Councillor Herridge. I'll just, point of correction, Mayor, I believe that's 2 successful amendments passed and that amendment was lost. So there's still capacity to do another amendment following this. Councillors, I don't believe this is a controversial motion, but I'm often surprised in this place, so we'll see. It simply requests 2 additional recommendations onto the budget. As to why I felt the need to do this evening, I have pursued these matters operationally and have not been successful to date. So therefore I felt that now was the opportune moment, and if it wasn't this evening it would have been done through a standalone motion on notice. So one way or another it was coming as a motion to council. There are 2 separate items up there being dealt as one amendment. Number 10 is in relation to providing professional development to elected members. As you'd appreciate, we've undertaken an extensive program on cultural development and working together and making decisions, and I don't mean to disparage that work at all. It has been useful, it has been successful, it has been important, but the core duties prescribed to elected members under the Act is to adopt the budget and the long-term financial strategic vision of the organisation, to develop the strategic policy and to recruit and manage the performance of the CEO. So therefore I feel like professional development afforded to elected members should be closely aligned to the duties that we are expected to undertake as prescribed by the legislation. The second one in there I also think is fairly straightforward, and the administration has indicated that it provides to a degree that information and can expand upon it to audit and risk, and following October it'll be called audit, risk and improvement. Because what we've discussed throughout this budget process is that there is volatility, not just in the sector but in the economy at the moment. We're seeing the, as has been discussed, the need to reduce or consider some contingencies in the budget, and then on the other side of the spectrum, increased expenditure on employee costs and other matters through enterprise bargaining agreements and the like. So I feel like as the year proceeds, the financial year proceeds, it is only good governance and good financial management for us as a committee and then as a council to maintain oversight of those significant variations for the prudent financial management of the district. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Herridge, would you like to speak to this amendment?
I'm not sure I can add anything further other than to highly support Councillor Rowe's amendment tonight, as it is our job to make sure we get the finances right. We haven't yet had any financial training. We've done some risk work, but we actually haven't looked at a budget and pulled it apart to actually understand it line by line, and that's in the full 4 years that I've been here. So yeah, wholly support, and I hope everybody does as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any speakers against this amendment? Councillor Miles has a question.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm supportive of the proposal, but I just want to ask a question. Administration's saying that there's a Module 5, Understanding Financial Reports and Budgets, available in December, but I think the understanding, the way is for councillors to have a more classroom-based development course, as opposed to just sitting in front of a screen doing some domestics. And I think that's my understanding. Is administration of that same understanding?
Ms Jennings?
Thank you, through the chair. I actually did suggest, and it's on the second page, to look at courses at the Governance Institute of Australia or the Australian Institute of Management, WA, because they are a bit more classroom-based and probably able to go through in a more general way, which is probably even better to have that same sort of understanding as any board. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a question, Councillor Berry? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I've just looked at the training as well. So on the 2nd of December, it's a Tuesday. On the 13th of November, it's a Thursday. And over half of this council work full-time. Is there any way that administration, if this is passed, will consider bringing in some training for council, like literally into this building on a night time, so we can all partake in it face to face, ask questions and get a much better understanding of the requirements? Thank you.
Ms Jennings?
Thank you, Mayor. Certainly, any of those organisations can generally, we can organise an in-house course, and we do sometimes for our staff as well. So,
thank you.
Thank you. Any speakers against? If there are no speakers against, I don't know that you need the right of reply, Deputy Mayor Rowe. We'll just go to...
I just wanted to, in response to the questions, that was my intention, councillors, in the same way that bespoke training in a facilitated session has been offered to elected members on unconscious bias in decision making and the sessions that we've been undertaking on culture. I think it would be only right to have it offered in a similar manner rather than expecting elected members to go to WALGA, given that WALGA is very strict that it is in-person attendance and the duties of elected members cannot always accommodate that.
Thank you. So we now go to the vote. Councillors, please cast your vote on this amendment. And that is passed unanimously. So we now go to the substantive as amended. Councillors, do I have any speakers against the budget? I'm going to allow councillors who want to speak for the budget, I'm going to allow the floor because this is such a big item that those who want to speak for the budget as well, I'm not going to shut it down. Councillor Moore, would you like to speak for the budget?
Thank you, Mayor. As we consider tonight's budget, I would like to be upfront. I know many in our community are feeling frustrated, even angry about rates, and I hear you. I share those same concerns. Like you, I feel the cost of living pressures at home, and as a councillor, I don't take these decisions lightly. For the past 2 years, I'll be honest when I say I've consistently advocated for keeping the rates low as possible, and last year I spoke out quite strongly against the budget because I believe there were areas where spending could have been tightened before asking residents to pay more. I've held that position since before joining this council. I even ran on a platform of a zero rate increase. But this year, the situation has changed and we must change with it. The City of Wanneroo is now the fastest growing local government in Western Australia. That means that we are building more parks, roads, libraries, community centres and recreational facilities than any other council in the state. And while we're building for the future, we're also absorbing significant cost increases that are completely out of our control, including higher waste levies, emergency service charges, street lighting tariffs, insurance and audit fees, all imposed by the WA state government. In context, a zero rate rise might sound appealing, but it would only delay the inevitable and place a much heavier financial burden on the residents in years ahead. That's not responsible and it's not fair, not to the residents and not to the future ratepayers. So this year, we've taken a measured and responsible approach. The proposed rate increase of just 3.5%, which equates to roughly 85 cents a week for the average household. That's less than the cost of a chocolate bar. And importantly, it's lower than the rate increases in neighbouring councils like Dundebar, 3.95%, and Stirling at 4.5%, even though our growth pressures are greater. We've kept this increase modest by securing additional income from the Catalina Regional Council and other sources. And I know that myself and my fellow councillors will push for alternative revenue streams so we can always reduce the burden on our ratepayers in the future. I'd also really like to thank my fellow councillors on their hard work and commitment to the best outcomes during the 2025 budget process, and to acknowledge the incredibly hard work of our city's administration team. At the end of the day, I want my community to know that I'm not here to take the easy way out or to say what is popular. I'm here to take responsibility and to do what's right for today and for the future of this city. And I'm proud to be supporting this budget.
Thank you. Do I have any other speakers for the budget this evening? I have some questions. Deputy Mayor Rowe has some questions.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I'll ask them in sections, and I appreciate your commitment at the briefing session, noting that this is a late item and therefore this is the only opportunity to ask questions in the public domain. I refer to page 3 of the supplementary agenda. Integrated planning and reporting framework includes the long-term financial plan. It has been 959 days since the LTFP was brought to Council for consideration and endorsement. That's more than 2 years and 7 months. Can Council receive an update on when the LTFP will be presented for endorsement?
Ms Jennings.
Mr CEO. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor. Happy for Ms Jennings to also jump in and provide some more detail. As all councillors were aware, I've recently undergone my performance review. One of those KPIs was reset and recast for December 2025, which is the LTFP. As soon as this budget's adopted, then all of our available resources are focused on the LTFP. Council has a session coming up in August, and I think I saw today we're planning for another one towards or in a couple of months' time with elected members in terms of the detail around the LTFP. So there will be a number of touch points. We're obviously committed to that date, as is said in my KPIs, and happy for Ms Jennings to add any detail that she can add.
Ms Jennings. Ms Jennings doesn't have anything else to add. Deputy Mayor Rowe.
Mayor, in accordance with Standing Order 8.23, a member may request any words used by a member be recorded in the minutes immediately after their use. I ask that my question please be recorded in full in the minutes. Supplementary question, Mayor. In the absence of a council endorsement of the LTFP, how has the administration been making changes to the forward year capital works program and projections?
Ms Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. Whilst we haven't got an adopted long-term financial plan, the councillors have been provided with the 20-year capital works program during our long-term financial plan workshops, but also our budget workshops in particular for this year. So this year has probably been the one area where it's different from the long-term financial plan. And one in particular I can think of is the parcel land that's come in just recently. We had that in the plan to be paid for by municipal, but it will be paid for by strategic projects. So I don't think there's any other particular ones that I can think of that we haven't already worked through with council at the workshops. They're just not, unfortunately, adopted. Thank you.
Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Rowe.
A final question on this section, Mayor, before I stop. Is administration aware of any situation where a capital works project has been deferred without council's knowledge because of the almost 3-year delay in endorsing an LTFP?
Ms Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, it's been through workshops, so I can't actually think of one that's been deferred, but we have been open with the Capital Works program. In fact, there was another version put up by the Wanneroo RAP last week as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any speakers for the budget? Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I am speaking for this budget. I think it has been a really carefully crafted and team effort across both the elected member group and also the administration and executive. I usually am quite tough on budgets, and I think councillors know my viewpoints on some of the things that upset me. However, I think this has been a really good teamwork to get to this point. And as councillors have outlined before, you know, we are outperforming considering our size compared to other local governments, and I know they have their own challenges as well. However, I do look forward to that discussion about the LTFP when it does come to us, and certainly more transparency around how this council will adopt rates and what our rating policy will be under the new reforms, where it will transparently outline for a time period, I can't remember off the top of my head, what that rate increase will be, and it will be clear for the public. And I'll certainly, when that item does come to us, certainly be in favour of releasing all the methodology and documentation that we have been presented from consultants on how we arrived at that decision, because I believe this is the number one thing that we always receive from people is around how does this council make its decision around rate increases. So I think having all that information transparent and community members can make up. So I understand that that documentation hasn't been done, and this budget is probably one of the last, I want to call it ad hoc budgets, that obviously are out of tune with a long-term financial plan. However, I think all the necessary steps have been taken, some of the fat has been trimmed, and particularly some of those projects, majority of the projects that have been included in this budget, a lot of them have been from the very members that sit around this table from community requests, and I think that should be something we are proud of, considering that this council has put the philosophy that we do want to be a council that delivers for our community. And I think we are now entering a new era at the City of Wanneroo of delivering and getting on with the job. And getting on with the job means there will be expenditure from whatever place that comes from, whether that's reserves, whether that's municipal funding, or whether that's grant funding. I do think there needs to be work done into improving our relationships with our state and federal members of parliament, and I hope they are listening tonight, or their staff are listening tonight. We do want to engage with you, and we do want to build on that relationship for future budgets to come, and that is from all sides of politics. I just also want to mention the corporate business plan and some of the really good projects that are coming to us. I know a lot of these projects are strategies and plans and advocacy and a lot of in-house stuff, but sometimes you do need that year to reset and recharge, and making sure internally we have all the right things to be able to push that start button and start delivering. So unfortunately we do need to take that year to look upon, but as the Mayor and many councillors have mentioned, we are still delivering some really big infrastructure like Door Duck Kept Up and the ARC. So it's not like things are not being done, and there are a number of other smaller projects across every single ward in this council. So I think ratepayers are getting value for money from this budget, and there are a number of projects spread very equally across all the geographic areas of the city. So I do look forward to what that new process looks like, and hopefully we are able to support the administration in getting on with the job and continue delivering over the next financial year. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Do I have any speakers against? Any questions? Councillor Berry, and then I'll go to Deputy Mayor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. It's following on from the Deputy Mayor's concerns regarding the LTFP. Can I ask what the legal requirement is to bring to Council an LTFP and what the timeframe should be, please?
Ms Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. They're not very strong in terms of the legislation and the timing for the long-term financial plan. It's I think, recommended to be 10 years. Ours is obviously a little larger, mainly for us to keep sight on some things, but we were intending and are intending to adopt a 10-year plan coming up. I think the difficulty with a council like ourselves is the change is so great that it's probably recommended to do it annually, as we like to try and to do. So it's not really legislative though. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. On to the operating budget, referring to page 13 of the supplementary agenda. Employee costs have increased by 4.7 million or 4.9%. Can I ask how many new FTE positions is this creating, and how much proportion of this increase is due to the results of the enterprise bargaining agreement?
Ms Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. just roughly it's about 19, but I know there's point FTEs in there somewhere, so, but roughly about 19 new, which equates to, I think we put aside about 1.3 for new positions. So the balance is therefore for increases. Thanks.
Thank you. Any speakers against? Any speakers for the budget? Oh, I have another question from Deputy Mayor Rowe.
Sorry, Mayor, but this is the time. Capital Works Program, referring to page 17 of the supplementary agenda, the total Capital Works Program for 25-26 is projected at $137.6 million, almost double the $70.2 million that was proposed in last year's budget. I'm aware that the actual level of delivery was higher than that. The first question was going to be, have we ever adopted a program of this value? But you answered that in your remarks, Mayor. So I suppose my question is, last year we were told, and I quote, that the reason it was 70.2 scaled back was to balance community needs with the city's financial and resourcing capacity. What capacity improvements have occurred in the past 12 months to provide assurance that the city can now deliver an additional $67.4 million over what was originally proposed last year?
Mr Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. From capacity and capability, I'll just address in two parts. Capacity and capability point of view, we have invested in our project management delivery capacity, project management pre-planning and development capacity as well. Noting that in 25-26 Capital Works Program, the largest expenditure is for the under construction Elkimos Arc, which is about $48 million. I think it is listed in the budget. If you take that out, rest is about $90 million. When you look at further into the detailed Capital Works Program, there is about $29 million worth of significant larger projects, which are not usually in every year's budget. So that brings it back to about $70 million of our usual Capital Works Program. So the projects like Dorda, Kapap still needs about $5.5 million. Wangara Transfer Station, about $2.7 million. Nerabap Industrial Area Services, about $3.2 million. And our transport program, which is part of usual, but this is slightly more than what we usually do, is about $3.5–4 million. There are a couple of other projects which are coming, significant design projects, which is the emergency precinct design works. That's about $3 million. So they are the kind of projects which usually are not in every year. They come certain years, and this is the year.
Thank you. You have another question, Deputy Mayor.
Last question, Mayor. Can I confirm that the reserves drawdown and capital works program only includes $1 million for the Girraween Hub redevelopment, a project anticipated to cost approximately $30 million, and no money for the Wanneroo Rec Centre redevelopment? So if those projects are required to commence in the next 12 months and subject to grant applications, the city may be required to draw down much more significantly on its reserves.
Ms Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. The Girraween Hub for this year is budgeted for $1 million from the Asset Replacement Reserve, I think that is, and the Wanneroo Recreation Centre is budgeted for $1.35 million this year. Some of that's from grant and some from municipal. But they are scheduled to have a lot more in their future years, which is reliant on grant at this stage.
Thank you. Okay. If anyone has any further questions, do we have any speakers against the budget? You have a question? Councillor Herridge.
Just a question, just while we're on reserves. I noticed on page 10 where we've got the reserve replenishments actually listed. We're putting 46 in to help cover up for the 71 that we're taking out. So my first question is this year's budgeted rate of the drawdown, is that on par with last year's and possibly the years past, just to see if we're consistent? And correct me if I'm wrong, of the 46 that we're putting back in, there's only 28.5 that's actually interest and Catalina, which is not guaranteed, that we're putting in that isn't of its own money, so coming through DCPs and those kinds of things. So I just want to make sure that we're on par with what we're doing with our reserves in the last few years, and just to confirm that amount, please.
Ms Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. It is a little more than, part of the question. The drawdown is a bit more than it has been in previous years, and I might have to look at the finance team over the other side to look up what it was for this year. But in terms of the reserve replenishment, Catalina there's quite a level of confidence in that amount coming through. So I think that will be fine, and the interest we know about and the developer contributions is already in that reserve, and that's to do with Alkamos. And the others are also things that we actually manage ourselves. So I'll just check, Mayor, whether there's some information on the last drawdown, if either of the team have, please.
Mr Bimzara.
Through Mayor, yes, total drawdown in 24-25, which is last financial year, is estimated to be 62 million in total. So current proposed budget is 71, so slightly higher than the last year.
Thank you. Okay, are there any more questions? Any speakers against? Any speakers for the budget? Okay, on that note, I will close debate. And I'll remind you, councillors, I believe this budget represents a strong, balanced approach to delivering essential services and investing in our future as a city. And I hope you will join me in supporting the adoption of this budget. Councillors, could you please cast your vote? And the budget is passed. We have 11 councillors in support of the budget and 2 councillors against. Those against are Deputy Mayor Rowe and Councillor Herridge. Thank you very much, councillors, for all the work and the effort you've put together in putting the budget together. We now go to the agenda proper, and the next item on the agenda proper is Assets, ASO 10725. Applications for funding, Metropolitan Regional Roads Program. Can I have a mover and seconder for this, please, councillors? Do you have a declaration, Councillor Bedworth? Do you want to move it as well? Okay, move it, Councillor Bedworth. Do your declaration first.
All
Yes,
right, thank you, Mayor. With regard to the item that is now before us, I disclose that as I'm an employee of Main Roads. As a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected. I declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to the... Oh, first of all, do I have a seconder for this item? Councillor Figg. Councillor Bedworth, would you like to speak to this item?
Only to say that on the balance of the report in front of me, I think it's the recommendation is fair and reasonable and should be supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Figg, would you like to speak to this item?
I echo Councillor Bedworth's comment.
Are there any speakers against this item? Oh, we have a declaration from the Deputy Mayor.
With regard to AS 010725, I declare that I'm the city's representative on the Metropolitan Regional Roads Group, which has some oversight and discussion of these matters following Council's endorsement. I disclose this thing, and then as a consequence there may be a perception of my impartiality on the matter may be affected, but I declare that I'll consider it on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Do I have any speakers against this item? If there are no speakers against this item, councillors, please cast your vote. And that is passed unanimously. We now go to Waste Services, ASO 20725, updated terms of reference for the Waste Management Advisory Committee. Do I have a mover and seconder for this item? Moved, Councillor Miles. Seconded, Councillor Bedworth. Oh, sorry. I was flicking around quick. Councillor Miles, would you like to speak to this item?
Look, I think the waste management terms of reference are pretty standard. The updates that we approved at our last committee, where Councillor Wright is our chair, I'm happy to present them to council for approval, and it's pretty straightforward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Wright, for your grace. I'm sorry about that. Councillor Bedworth, would you like to speak to this item as you seconded it?
No, I think Councillor Miles covered it all, and my apologies, I didn't see your hand up.
Okay, any speakers against this? If there are no speakers against it, councillors, please cast your vote. And as Councillor Moore's just out of the room for a minute, I declare that passed unanimously. We are now at 8:25. I'm just going to give us a 5-minute break to go stop the meeting for about 5 minutes to just have a quick drink and that, and then come back and resume at 8:31. Okay. Councillors, we're about to start the meeting again. They need absolute, I'm sure they need that.
Bill, is the warrant of payments not absolute? It's listed as simple.
It's listed as simple, but they've always been absolute.
No, I don't think the warrant is. I thought the financial activity statement was.
That's simple as well.
Is it?
They're both in the as simple.
No, but in terms of the Act, have you checked the Act? They might be listed incorrectly.
Can you quickly check the Act? So, councillors, we are back on air and I recommence the meeting. We've got a few things we just need to clarify, but I'm going to read out all the items left on the agenda that can be moved en bloc. If anyone wants to speak to any of the items I'm suggesting can be moved en bloc, they will be taken en bloc and voted on separately. So I'll read out the items that can be moved en bloc, councillors. So ASO 3725, the tender provision of garden organics, go green waste transport, processing and supply of mulch. Does anyone want to specifically draw that out? Okay, item CP02 725, the Wanneroo Recreation Centre New Sports Hub project update. Does anyone want to draw that out separate? That can go on block. CP04 0725, the Local Emergency Management Committee revised terms of reference. Can that be included on block? Anyone want to speak to that individually? Okay. CP05 725, the Frederick Stubbs Gate opening time review, that can be included in en bloc. Would anyone like to speak to that individually? So we will do that item separate. CS01 is absolute majority.
Yep.
Okay. CSO2 0725, warrant of payments. Does anyone want to specifically speak to the warrant of payments this evening? That can be moved en bloc. CSO3 0725, proposed lease to the Speedway Motorcycle Club, WA Inc., over a portion of lot 502, 100 reserve 11598, Pedrick Road, Neerabup. Does anyone want to speak to that item individually? Okay, and CSO4 0725, proposed lease to Wanneroo Junior Motocross Club over a portion of lot 502 100, reserve 11598, Pederick Road, Neerabup. Does anyone want to speak to that individually? And CEO1 0725, the City of Wanneroo submission proposed communications agreement. Does anyone... we might have to do that separately because Councillor Figg has an interest and he has to leave the room. So all of the items I have read out we can move on block. So I'm going to read them out and then again and ask for a mover, and these are the items we're moving on block. ASO 30725, tender of the provision of garden organics. CP02 0725, the Wanneroo Recreation Centre New Sports Hub project update. CP04 0725, the Local Emergency Management Committee revised terms of reference. CSO2 0725, the warrant of payments for the period to the 31st of May 25. CSO3 0725, the proposed lease to Speedway Motorcycle Club WA Inc. over portion lot 502 100 reserve 11598 Pederick Road, Neerabup, and CS040725, proposed lease to Wanneroo Junior Motocross Club over a portion of lot 502 100, reserve 11598 Pederick Road, Neerabup. Do I have a mover for those items? A Councillor Rowe and a seconder. I'll go Councillor Smith because she suggested we go en bloc. So moved Councillor Wright, seconded Councillor Smith. Okay, so therefore, councillors, that's been moved and seconded, and because they're being moved en bloc, everyone's agreed to move them en bloc. We go to vote on the en bloc. Councillor Bedworth? Councillor Vick? Oh, yeah, you're Councillor Coetzee, aren't you? And so that's 12. So that's passed unanimously. We now go to CPO 50725. Do I have a mover and seconder for that item? Moved Councillor Berry, seconded. Councillor Smith. Councillor Berry, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have an issue with continuing of the gate opening at 5 a.m. However, I was quite concerned with some of the stats that were given to us. I just want to know if we can bring to a forum at another time the stats that have actually been given that say the Rangers have logged over 100 visits. They've had 43 calls for antisocial behaviour and gate damage and 21 police requests. Is it possible we could bring this back? Because I do believe we've got a slight community safety issue down at Fred Stubbs Park and the car park. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor, for your question. That most definitely can come back to a forum. We'll find out when the next available is. Can I just check, would it be of benefit to Council to have that forum focusing on community safety more broadly across sites and the Rangers' role in that, or would you like it specifically on?
Oh, we can do it more broadly. I don't have an issue with that. It's just I do believe that we have had some issues with community facilities and safety very recently, and this seems to be a bit of a pattern in Quinns at night. Thank you.
Councillor Berry, I think we probably need to move a amendment to include that in the recommendation. We have a question from Councillor Herridge.
Thanks, Mayor. Just thinking out aloud, Community Safety Working Group has this item on it regularly and all councillors can come to it. Would it be easier and quicker than waiting for a section at Forum, which is busy, to actually bring whatever item it is to the working group rather than Forum to help facilitate the process?
Councillor Berry?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, do you want to amend, but do we need to? So, Ms Davis, you're going to push that request through from Councillor Berry and list that as an item. Thank you. Okay. Councillor Smith, would you like to speak to this item?
Yes, but and also in terms of backing that up, because when I read one of the stats about how many people had been fined, I think I had remembered different information coming through the Community Safety Forum. So that will be great that we have the opportunity to clear that up as well. But other than that, supportive of the normal recommendation. Thank you.
Any speakers against the recommendation? If there are no speakers against the recommendation, councillors, cast your vote. And that's passed unanimously. We now go to financial activities statement, CSO 10725. Can I have a mover and seconder for that, please? Moved Councillor Berry, seconded Councillor Figg. Councillor Berry, would you like to speak to this item?
Only to say it was, as ever, a comprehensive report on the financial statements. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Figg.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any speakers against the financial activities statement? There are no speakers against the financial activities statement. Councillors, please cast your vote. And that is passed unanimously. We now go to the CEO 10725, the City of Wanneroo submission proposed communications. Councillor Figg, would you like to make your declaration?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Due to working with the Minister for Local Government in a different portfolio, I believe that I have an indirect financial interest, so will be recusing myself from this one. Thank you.
Thank you. It's page 281. Okay, councillors, do I have a mover and seconder for this item? Are you happy for this item to lapse, do you? Councillor Wright? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Smith. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to this item?
CEO1, this submission.
To the proposed communications agreement.
Everyone on the same page on this table there?
Comms agreement? Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, it sounded like
No.
there was confusion at the end.
No comment from me.
Okay, any comment, Councillor Smith? Any speakers against? If there are no speakers against, councillors, please cast your vote. And that's passed unanimously with all the councillors in the room. We'll just wait until Councillor Figg comes back in.
Councillor Huntley as well. To that one over there behind you.
So what's the standing orders that relate to props?
Well, there's nothing in there, but apparently there's a clause for you to determine. It's not a workshop.
We're waiting for Councillor Huntley. She's not.
She's gone to wash her hands.
We've got the last item, which we need to go behind closed doors. Should we go behind closed doors and do the, yeah, let's go behind closed doors and we'll do them. So, yeah, I know. Oh, she's back. Councillor Huntley, do you have a seconder for your motion on notice?
I do, Councillor.
Councillor Miles. Councillor Huntley, would you please speak to your motion on notice?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I bring this notice of motion calling for research and a trial of virtual fencing across several of our high-risk roads within the City of Wanneroo. The justification for this is clear. We have a growing roadkill problem, particularly with kangaroos and other native wildlife. Virtual fencing presents a modern and non-invasive solution that actually in trials has worked. Traditional wire or post fencing, while intended to prevent animal crossings, has severe flaws. Particularly in bushfire conditions, these fences can trap wildlife, blocking escape routes and often leading to horrific outcomes. Virtual fencing, by contrast, preserves the integrity of the environment while offering safety to both drivers and the animals that call this region home. There are several types of virtual fencing, and with technology, I urge the City to investigate further. One that uses high-frequency sound emissions, audible to animals but not to humans. I think a lot of you were worried that perhaps this little device would go off, as this is all it is, this tiny little thing.
But if it does, you wouldn't hear it anyway. This avoids noise pollution and offers clean, low-impact solutions that does not distract drivers. Some models also incorporate sound and flashing lights, as shown in the photos. Again, this is one of those. But they're more useful as a visual boundary marker for humans, but really don't have that much effect on the animals. Although research continues to find the best mix, as lights can provide a safety feature for drivers and people walking along the street. The visibility to motorists may have limited practical effect for the expense, which is why the administration will have to look at more options than in the New South Wales video that I provided. The sound emitting fencing is very effective. I have one here that the local wildlife sanctuary has been trialling with great success. This is one that's actually going back out. That's the box. It literally has a two-way thing. It talks to another one, so it emits a beam sideways out of it and talks to the next box. So these boxes can be placed between 25 metres and 50 metres, depending on the way the road is. If you're going around a corner, they go on the opposite side of the road and they're just slightly set at an angle and the other one's set at an angle, and basically they go off. They send a signal that activates the next and the next, continuing down the line, even if the vehicle turns off or slows down. Thus ensures that we get a corridor of sound and warning along a significant stretch of road, providing continuous alerting. So those animals will stay on the correct side of the road and not get on the road. Depending on the configuration, posts can be spaced anywhere from 25 to 50 metres apart. Certain models allow wider spacing, and you can get some now that will go up to 75 metres, depending on obviously the road conditions and the foliage. By adjusting the pitch, the sound, to trigger the following post acoustically, this opens a more cost-effective rollout model while preserving effectiveness. Internationally, governments and local authorities are shifting to virtual fencing in national parks and open range corridors where physical fencing is either too costly or environmentally unsuitable. Australia is now following suit with successful trials in Tasmania, New South Wales, and discussions currently occurring in the ACT. Virtual fencing obviously provides an escape route for wildlife in fire and flood, avoiding being trapped by physical barriers and fencing, but also for vehicles, for emergency vehicles, which I know during the Marinjanup fires, they had to find gates and gate access, and a lot of the time if they couldn't, they just drove over the fences. Virtual fencing, because of these posts, these are unbreakable. You can't break these, and we've actually trialled that. This one has been bent by an articulated lorry going over the top of it, but it only bent. They have a sprung-loaded base here that allows them to fall flat onto the ground so people can roll over them, and the stick can be cemented in if necessary. The beauty of these is that they do bend and they don't break, which does mean that if a fire vehicle has to roll over one, they haven't damaged the virtual fence, but the beauty of it is with regard to our physical barriers, we have to repair and replace them, and it's massive if they drag the fence behind a vehicle. These just pop back up again. The only thing that you may need to replace are the boxes. These attach to the fencing, and the boxes can basically be easily replaced. So quite cheaply, in fact, this thing costs more than the box, than all the worketry in here. So given the scale of the upcoming development throughout Wanneroo and the known hotspots where wildlife fatalities are frequently recorded, this council has an obligation to explore smarter solutions. And colleagues, I urge you to support to commission this research and to pilot virtual fencing in the roads we have identified as our most concerning wildlife black spots. This is a meaningful step towards our shared goals of biodiversity preservation, public safety and responsible planning. And I thank you and hope you'll support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Huntley. Councillor Miles, would you like to speak to this item?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think Councillor Huntley has articulated the intricacies on how the device would work and how it should work. A couple of points I just want to add is when you look at some of the new fencing that's gone up on Townsend Road, for instance, after the Meridian fires, they actually put in gateways for mainly kangaroos and emus to use, and they do use them. I was surprised when they told me they were going to put them in. I was surprised that the animals would use them. There are clearly pathways going to and from all of these openings that have been left for these animals to get through. This sort of device will obviously help road users from sometimes colliding with one of these animals and obviously doing damage not only to their own personal well-being, but obviously to the wildlife as well. The other big issue is, and it was on Old Janship Road recently, it was a few months ago now, a person was coming down there, actually swerved to try and miss a kangaroo and ended up rolling their car. So these have quite a good technology behind them. I can't wait to see administration trialling them in the locations listed in the report and hearing back from them over the coming months, if not year, to see how they actually are going. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Are there any, do you have a question, do you, Councillor Smith? Go ahead, Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question in case anyone from administration might know of any grants that for future this could be applicable to in terms of road safety, because I know that there are a number of grants to do with road safety and things like that. So that would just be interesting to know.
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. As part of the investigation of this proposal, we will actually look at all those options, what's involved. If the grants are available, we'll include that in the proposal.
Thank you. You have a question, Deputy Mayor Rowe? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Just in terms of the recommendation on page 349, can I just confirm that if this is successful, the administration will go and they will investigate the effectiveness, they'll provide a report back detailing the findings, and then based on those findings, it would be added for consideration in the 26-27 budget. Is my understanding of the process correct?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, that is absolutely correct. The idea is to research everything related to this particular proposal, the pros and cons, the benefits, and where else it's worked, and look at the case studies, and then look at the suitability to our road network, and then provide a project proposal.
Thank you. Councillor Herridge.
Thank you, Mayor. I was a little excited to see this on the agenda because I would have a possible addition. So Woodvale Drive with our neighbours at City of Joondalup. This would be a perfect pilot program to actually have a look at. We've, in the recent, probably last 12 to maybe 18 months, we've actually got a Friends of the Kangaroos Facebook group that has come out of the fact that there are so many kangaroos jumping across Woodvale Drive. I think it would be remiss of us not to actually add this in to it as well. I'm sure there's plenty of others, but as soon as I saw this, I have looked at this myself a couple of years ago, but just never brought it through. But I think this would be a fantastic addition to actually put through to it, and I know a friend of ours would love to have that on it as well. So thanks for bringing it to Council.
Thank you. Would you be happy to add Woodvale Drive to the report?
So I'd love to have Woodvale Drive. The opportunity to actually go and show these to Joondalup Council is obviously more prevailing because it's not just Woodvale Drive, it's Duffy Road and also onto Whitfords. So that's where most of the kangaroos are getting caught, but they're all over on the City of Joondalup side. Our side on the Wanneroo Road, certainly the Wanneroo Road side might just push those kangaroos back into the reserve there by the where all the car sales places are. That's where a lot of the kangaroos die, on that part of the Wanneroo Road, but they've all come out technically from that Woodvale area. So I think it's, you know, if we could do a joint thing and have these trialled on our side, just to stop the Wanneroo Road fatalities, because those kangaroos can't get back on because the fences are inhibitive. So once they've come out and they're on the Wanneroo Road, they actually can't get back onto that reserve because they can't jump over the fences. So ultimately those kangaroos, and some of them are big.
You're happy to have Woodvale Drive included?
Absolutely.
Okay. Councillor Miles, are you happy to include Wanneroo section of Woodvale Drive?
Mayor, I was just going to suggest I'm happy to adopt the amendment of adding Woodvale Drive.
Thank you. Okay, are there any speakers against it? A question, Councillor Wright.
One question from me, if I can. Just reading a case study from the City of Townsville, they've actually gone a step further, if Council does support this, to also embed AI modelling into that and part of our smart city strategy. So is that something that can be included in the project proposal so we can actually measure how many animals we are deterring from roads?
Can that be incorporated? Mr. Singh?
Thank you, Mayor. As I said earlier, when we develop project proposal, we'll research all aspects of the project and then include that in the project proposal.
Okay. Any speakers against it? A question, Councillor Bedworth.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wonder, given that 54% of fatalities throughout the state occur on local government roads to humans, does admin have any stats they can give us in regards to how many of those were caused by errant wildlife?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll have to analyze the data which is available from Main Road's crash data webpage. So we can look at last 5 years data, see how many crashes were due to any collision with the native fauna.
Thank you. Councillor Parker, do you have a question? Councillor Parker, yes, go ahead. Speak again.
Please don't get me wrong. I am a strong supporter of wildlife, great and small. The only thing that when I saw this is a DBCA responsibility. Again, the state is getting away with their responsibilities. Council is now wanting to take, and this is not cheap. This is not cheap. So we've just adopted a budget. Now you want to look at something like this, which is awesome, and which I really and truly think DBCA should be made responsible for. Going through WELGA, using what we can to get this kind of thing through to DBCA and the state to pay for is the way that I would prefer to go. I cannot and would not, as a ratepayer, look at this and say this is good use of ratepayer money. I am not against this, please don't get me wrong. But this sits fairly and squarely in DBCA's lap, and as a council, we should be making them responsible for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Do you have a question, Councillor Smith, or speak for Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. Considering that this recommendation is for investigation and a proposal that would do research, and that research would include grants, for example, grants that would come through state and or federal, I am happy to support for that reason. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any speakers against? There are no speakers against. Councillor Huntley, you have a 1 minute right to reply because you went over before.
Okay, very quickly. DBCA, yes, there's so much controversy with DBCA, but they are actually not responsible for kangaroos on the roads, believe it or not. It is not down to them. It is for the people who own their properties who actually get the palming over as such of responsibility from the state. So basically, if you buy a piece of land and you've got kangaroos, you've got lizards, you've got possums on it, they become yours until you do something wrong. And so the only time that DBCA will come in is with enforcement on a cruelty side, or if you don't apply for a licence to have them in your house. So ultimately, they're not responsible for animals on the road. So it does leave it who is responsible. At the end of the day, it is coming down to local councils. At the end of the day, we can't even get the state government to pay our vet bills for their animals. So it's going to be a long haul process, and there'll be a lot of animals dead if we don't start to really open our eyes and say we need to do something now.
Thank you, Councillor Huntley. Councillors, please cast your vote. Okay, there are 10 supportive and 3 against. Those against are myself, Councillor Bedworth and Councillor Parker. So that motion on notice is passed. We now are going to go behind closed doors for a confidential item. Can I have a mover and seconder to go behind closed?
No, it's just because still got the last vote. It's happening now, I think.
We shouldn't be on air, guys.
It's the vote we want.
Okay, I declare the meeting open at 9 minutes past 9. As far as item CRO 10725, write-off rates debt, the council approved by an absolute majority the write-off the rates debt as detailed in the report unanimously. Item 3, date of the next meeting. The next council members' agenda briefing is being scheduled for 6 p.m. on the 12th of August 2025 to be held at Council Chamber, Civic Centre, 23 Dundebar Road, Wanneroo. Thank you everyone for your attendance, and I now declare the ordinary council meeting is closed at 9:10 p.m. Thank you, councillors. It wasn't easy to